Hey everyone, this is Kaylee Jerichoff again, and I'm just here to give you guys a presentation about the truth about your constitutional rights. So, today we're going to be talking about some of the most important rights in the US Constitution, but instead of just listing them, I'm going to focus on things most people don't know and some common misconceptions. By the end of this, you'll see that our rights are powerful, but also more complicated than you might think. So, let's dive into this. So, first, freedom of religion. Freedom of religion is often misunderstood. First, it protects not just practicing religion, but also choosing not to follow any religion. Misconceptions: many people assume it only protects religious practices. For example, if a school tried to force students to participate in a prayer, that would be a violation of the Constitution. Second, the government can't favor one religion over another. Another misconception is some people think public schools can lead prayers or organize religious clubs. That's actually not allowed, and if a government sponsored, those students can still pray privately, just not in a classroom. Sorry, that didn't make sense. Like, the classroom can't just pray all together if it's organized by a teacher or the school, if it is public. Second, freedom of speech. Freedom of speech is probably one of the most talked about rights, but it does have limits. Threats, inciting violence, or spreading lies about someone, what we can call defamation, aren't protected. Misconceptions is that some people think I could say whatever I want and it's legal. That's not true. Also, free speech protects you mainly from the government, not private companies. Many think that the First Amendment stops social media platforms from banning content, but it doesn't. So if your posts get removed on Instagram, it's not a violation of your constitutional rights. Third is freedom of press. Freedom of the press doesn't just apply to newspapers, it also includes all forms of media like TV, blogs, podcasts, and YouTube. Misconceptions are some people think only traditional newspapers are protected. Also, the government can't censor information before it's published. It is also called prior restraint. Misconception is that some people think journalists can never be held accountable, but they can be sued afterward if they spread lies or false information. So, press freedom is powerful but not unlimited. Fourth is search and seizure. The Fourth Amendment protects from people from illegal searches. Police usually need probable cause or a warrant, but there are exceptions like emergencies if you give consent. A misconception is many think police can just search your house at any time. That's why you always hear people saying, "Do you have a warrant? You can't search my house without a warrant." Also, evidence obtained illegally usually can't be used in court, thanks to the exclusionary rule. A misconception is some people assume anything police find can automatically be used against you. For example, if police entered a house without permission and found something, it is often couldn't be used as evidence in your trial. 5. Due process of law. Due process isn't just about criminal trials, it applies anytime the government affects your life, liberty, or property. A misconception is that people think it only matters if you're accused of a crime, but that's not true. There are two types: procedural due process, which is about following fair procedures, and substance due process, which is about laws themselves being fair. Misconception is that people often assume due process is only a fancy term for a fair trial. For example, if the city wants to take your property and build a highway, it must follow proper legal steps and provide fair compensation. The Ninth Amendment. The Ninth Amendment says people have more rights than just those listed in the Constitution. A misconception: many people assume that if a right isn't written down, it does not exist. It's been used to protect privacy rights, like the right to make personal medical decisions or use um, contraception. Sorry, I blanked out right there. This shows that our rights aren't limited, but a simple list. They are broader than that, though. And the 10th Amendment. The 10th Amendment says that powers not given to the federal government go to states or the people. A misconception of people think that the federal government can do anything it wants. This is why some state laws like marijuana legalization or education policies don't always match federal rules. States have the power to make their own decision in areas not specifically controlled by the federal government, which you probably learned in your government class in high school. Equal protection. The 14th Amendment guarantees equal protection under the law that everyone, and not just citizens, misconception. Some people assume that it only protects certain groups. Um, it only applies to government actions, not private behavior. A misconception is that many people think it stops unfair treatment everywhere, but it doesn't. For example, a city can't pass a law that treats one group differently, but a private club can set its own rules. And finally, discrimination. Discrimination laws cover more than race and gender. They also include age, disability, religion, and more. A misconception is that some people assume discrimination laws are very narrow. There are exceptions, like religious organizations hiring for religious positions. A misconception is that some people think there are no exceptions at all. For example, a church can require its pastor and to follow its religion, but an ordinary business cannot discriminate against someone for their religion or disability. So as you can see, our rights are not just as simple as bullet points in the Constitution. There are a lot of nuisance. Understanding your rights help you protect yourself and make smart choices and know when the rules actually apply. A reminder, misconceptions about our rights are everywhere. So knowing the details are key. Your rights are powerful, but knowing the details makes them even stronger. Thank you for listening.